The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico Haan, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. And I'm Paige Clarke. Good morning.
And good morning. It's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, 71 degrees and cloudy. Doesn't feel like Christmas.
We kind of had nice,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We missed you.
Yeah. Well.
I hope we'll get to hear about your trip.
Yep.
So if you have any questions about our show, we'd love to hear from you. You can email me at paige@tfnn.com.
Or Nico@tfnn.com, and we're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. So it's a brand new year.
It is 2017, and I think it's going to be a great one.
How were your holidays?
They were great.
Yep.
I look forward, though, to that time between Christmas and New Year's as kind of a time to reflect and make some agreements with myself and some goals for the new year. And I don't really like to share them and spout them out because I don't want to feel this pressure. That's one of the things I said. I don't want to apply pressure to myself.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about making some changes that are going to.
Yeah, I guess it's always good to reflect on what's happened in the past. Yeah, I think that's a natural type of thing that happens at this time of year. At least it's been a tradition among human beings, I think, for a long time.
Absolutely. And tell me a little bit more about your trip, because I know you were excited. You got to see your family.
Yeah.
And you were in an area that was cold. You were up in Michigan.
Yeah, it was cold up there. It was in the 30s most of the time.
How was the drive? Was it congested with the holiday
traffic?
traffic?
Well, we first went to, no, it wasn't bad because we traveled usually during the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Oh, okay.
We went up a little early. We went up to Tallahassee to see my brother-in-law, who's got a new girlfriend, and so we had dinner with them. That was really nice. And the next day we decided not to be in a rush this time, so we kind of took the back roads through Georgia, kind of missing most of the traffic. It was nice, and then we got on the highway just around Atlanta and just went up. That was Christmas Day we were traveling, and of course, in those times there's nobody on the road.
Well, that was kind of nice. Maybe that is a way if you can just, and once you get there, you can have your Christmas. It really didn't matter.
Yeah, we went, stayed at the usual place, which is a nice, one of those atrium hotels we always stay in Livonia, Michigan. And Christmas, we got in, I forget exactly what time, but sometime early evening, late afternoon.
Oh, great.
And,
it's always good to see your family, and I know.
Yeah, we saw
and that
the whole
picture
family.
You posted on Facebook
with
all your kids and grandkids.
Kids, grandkids, spouses, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
It's rather impressive, isn't it, when you start to put together these and you're kind of a senior and you go, wow, this little tribe, this is my tribe.
Yeah, this is the one that came from me. Yeah, that's an interesting feeling.
Yeah.
It is powerful, and it's humbling at the same time. See these people making something out of their lives, which is really nice. All the children are doing well. They all look really well. All of them look real healthy. My son looked really robust and healthy, ready for that adventure we're going to have in the spring. So that was cool. And the grandkids.
In case people haven't heard, remind them what you're doing this spring.
We're actually going out in the deep woods with a friend that I met through researching Bigfoot. And he goes into these areas where there's a lot of signs, and signs are street structures. And as I get closer to that, I'm going to share some of those types of films and everything that he's put up.
Those pictures you shared are really actually quite fascinating, these tree structures that lets you know there's something with a thinking mind that is out there.
It seems to be. It seems to be. And then there's all these little pictures of something that you can't quite make out with, them supposedly being Bigfoot. It's a very interesting thing. It's always been interesting to me. But there's a lot of evidence now that, as I'm diving more into this, that indeed these creatures are there, and they're just very hard to see, kind of like gorillas. Gorillas for centuries were talked about, and nobody ever saw them. And I saw a picture on the web, actually. The guy says there's 19 gorillas in this picture, and you can't see any of them unless you point them out in circle, and you see an eye and an ear and stuff like that. So the possibilities are there, and,
Well, I'm very interested in what you're going to find, because it seems like it's such a conspiracy thing type. People like, oh, people believe there's actually a Bigfoot, but there's evidence. And as we...
A lot of evidence.
A lot of evidence of this. And this kind of is a great segue, I think, into what we want to talk about is how humans changed the world. And we've got this article that came from the Smithsonian Institution's Human Origins Program. And you and I were talking before the show started about, I guess, that the show you saw streaming on Amazon, the movie.
The Mystery of the Caspian Sphinx. Yeah, this is very interesting because it's about Neanderthals. And a whole different light on Neanderthals being actually the lighter-skinned people that were larger. And
perhaps a more intelligent, larger brain.
Definitely a larger brain, maybe about 25% larger brain, had better vocalizations, had perfect pitch, supposedly. If you look at the nasal cavities, they can pretty much tell what goes through the nostrils and through the vocal cavities. Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen the film before, and we watched it again yesterday. Just because I'm very interested in our ancient past. And the path I was going on yesterday when I was preparing for the show was just to throw a few things in here. But what I wanted to do was, where was the big change that took place? And the big change to me always was with food.
Right.
So when did we stop from being in control of our own food? And when did the countries, the religions, the armies, the people take control of that food and start making it for us? Because we really think we have control over what we make and what we eat, but we don't. It's served to us by companies.
Right, today, that's for sure.
Yes. And, of course, we have many choices here in America, but if you're indigenous people, you're being actually forced to go with this new style of eating that has never happened before. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how we really did change the world, and where do we go from here is my question.
I totally get it, and I like this article, and I think it'll be great for the show today because we can kind of do it in a timeline. And what I want to kind of emphasize is the fact that what we're talking about now is fossilized evidence of the human origins.
Yes.
And how it appears they changed, but the question also, just like you said, you're very interested in this, I'm very interested too in was our species and the species that preceded us a result of genetic manipulation, perhaps through other species that came from hither.
It's possible.
And all of these things are possibilities, and I think that taking a look and kind of pointing this out to people based on the timeline will be an interesting conversation for today.
Yeah, and some of the things, of course, we're going with fossil evidence, which is very limited.
Right.
Then we have fossils. Also, if you look on YouTube and you look on the web, you can find fossils of giants. You can find fossils of pygmies. You can find fossils of
fairies, even.
Even fairies, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that it could be, but we're going to kind of stick to what we know right now. So, the number here, folks, is 877-927-6648. I have a brand new health
hot off the press, good stuff.
All the press, lots of new trends in food that you want to
pick up on your copies.
We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. And we're talking a little bit about how humans changed the world. And it was for millions of years, all humans, early and modern alike, have had to find their own food. And humans spend a great part of their day gathering plants and chasing animals or scavenging animals. But it was just within a small window of time, like the past 12,000 years, that our species, Homo sapiens, actually made the transition to producing food and actually changing our surroundings. And Nico and I are going to kind of go through a little timeline as we know it, just to kind of paint a picture. And let's take a look at how we've changed.
Yeah, and when we say that it started about 12,000 years ago, that started in specific areas in the world, and they were very localized, and it didn't spread very quickly. In other words, modern Europe was not modern in those days, and probably the white man had just kind of arrived about 10,000 years before that time, maybe 20,000 years ago in Europe.
But let's go back 200,000 years. 200,000 years we see the modern human evolves according to this timeline in Africa, and it was a time of dramatic climate change, and the modern humans were evolving there, and like early humans, modern humans gathered and hunted food, and they evolved with behavior that helped them respond to the changes of survival.
Yeah, the first humans shared the planet with at least 3 other species that we know of. And
of early humans.
Yeah, of early humans, and probably there were 5 altogether that we think now. But we became the only survivals in that family tree. So by about 160,000 years ago, modern humans started collecting and cooking shellfish.
So, and there's a lot of people that believe it was the introduction and use of shellfish that helped the brain expand because of the omegas and the iodine.
Yeah, I think large animals too. They were definitely with the large animals for thousands and thousands of years until maybe they were gone. By 130,000 years ago, modern humans exchanged resources over long distances.
Oh, they started trade.
They started trading with each other.
There's evidence of trading 130,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So 90,000 years ago, they were starting to actually make tools.
Right.
for fishing.
And then by 60 to 80,000 years ago, they started spreading into Asia. By 70,000 years ago, they were putting information on objects. So they were starting to do a little carving, perhaps.
But they were near extinction, is what it says here.
Yeah.
That actually around 75,000 years ago, modern humans almost became extinct as a result of
probably climate change. Global warming? Probably global cooling.
Probably global cooling.
Yeah,
the population may have been reduced to about 10,000 adults of reproductive age. That's a very significant reduction from what we would imagine.
Yeah, and then, of course, the species started leaving. The extinction of Homo erectus became around the time of maybe 70,000 years ago. And then the creative
well, so that's what happened. So they were lowered down to about 10,000, and then the particular species Homo erectus became extinct.
Right.
And modern humans were beginning to create permanent drawings that were giving us a lot of ideas.
And Homo erectus was much like the modern human and communicated, built fires, and hunted just like we did. Probably a smaller brain. And
yeah, if you look at Homo erectus's head, the brain cavity above the brow line is smaller.
It's smaller.
So by 50,000 years ago, modern humans reached Australia.
Well, before that, they started creating permanent drawings.
Oh, yeah.
And this is really fascinating because a lot of the caves that we see in France, now a lot of people are saying that they think the Neanderthals may be the ones that actually made those drawings and not so much modern humans, because these drawings do go past 30,000 years, and the extinction of Neanderthal was somewhere in maybe 20,000 years, maybe 28,000 years.
So we had the Homo sapiens, the Homo erectus, and the Neanderthals, and we're seeing now at this 50,000 years, 70,000 years, 60 to 40,000 years ago, Homo erectus kind of starts to fade out. Then Neanderthal, and that was very interesting, that show that Nico shared with us about the Neanderthals, that they actually believe the Neanderthal are the ones that had the blonde hair, red hair, fair skin, and maybe
Homo
more
sapiens were more black and brown. Yeah, so maybe the white race actually did come from Neanderthal. Certainly the red hair did.
And that might be a tie-in to the different blood types.
Yeah.
The rhesus factor versus the non-rhesus
factor.
It's very
interesting. Of course, we know so little. These are just little slivers of history that we kind of know about, but it paints a really neat picture.
So the final competitive, I guess you could call it, species, Homo floresiensis, becomes...
Those are the hobbit.
That's the hobbits.
Yeah, the small
people.
The small people, yeah, and they were on a small island just off the coast of, I think, Indonesia someplace.
And they left modern humans, Homo sapiens, as a sole survivor in this once diverse human family tree. So my question is, was this all, gene expression, evolution, survival of the fittest, or was there, as Graham Hancock and them might say, there were other creator gods who were tinkering with the DNA and saying, oh, we'll make the brain a little bigger with this one, and we'll make this one a little miniature person.
Yeah, and that's certainly one theory. And then if you go to the electric universe theory, they think the gods were actually what was happening on the planet. In other words, the stars and everything that appeared, they identified those as the gods, and the planets, because the planets were moving in different directions at that time, that the planets were actually the gods.
Well, the Greek mythology certainly assigns to that the characteristics. So it was really that turning point, 12,000 years. We're down into the tree now.
Yeah, because 15,000 years ago, we think that modern humans reached the Americas. There's a lot of theories now that we were always there, but who knows? At the turning point, eventually, humans could find that they could control the growth and breeding of certain plants and animals. So that's when we started really thinking about, okay, the fauna is not here as much. So now let's come up with some other ideas of either controlling the fauna, herding of animals, and more gathering of plants, and starting to say, okay, these seeds, these seeds are more viable than these seeds, so let's plant these seeds and see if we can make the harvest come and things like that. So the introduction of different types of food, figs were cultivated in the lower Jordan,
in the Middle East.
and then Jericho, the West Bank, about 11,000 years ago. And of course, you're talking about the area of Turkey, the Middle East is where, of course, kind of the birthplace of what we call modern civilization because of the planting, because of the herding.
And it was about 10,000 years ago that the cow became a domesticated animal in the Middle East.
Yes.
Of course, what we also know is that the cow that was domesticated had a different genetic sequence. It was an A1 cow, I mean A2 cow.
A2 cow.
An A2 cow was more digestible and what we all grew up on, and what has been bred in the United States and much of Europe is now A1. So that's kind of interesting how sometimes maybe what we end up doing is not in our best interest.
Yeah. So squash was cultivated in Central America about 10,000 years ago. Around the same time, wheat was cultivated in the Middle East. Turkey began to grow into cities. Sheep became domesticated about 9,000 years ago. Rice in China about that time, and corn in North America.
Yeah, so it kind of goes down about all the way down to only like 3,600 years ago when cacao was cultivated in Central America. And then we start to see cities growing, and then with cities and populations, what did we see? We started to see some not at ease or dis-ease. So we'll talk about that when we get back.
With that. The number here is 877-927-6648. Just enough time to pick up some Primal Edge to keep you healthy in 2017.
There you go.
2017, whatever it is.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show, folks. So we're at a point here in our history about 7,000 years ago where we start cultivating potatoes in South America, bananas cultivated in Southeast Asia, horses were domesticated in Europe at 5,600 years ago. Cities started to appear in ancient times of 4,400 years ago
and we
in
fell
South
in love with
America.
chocolate 3,600 years ago.
3,600 years ago, and then Athens 3,400 years ago.
We're starting to see cities really
in
growing
China
population
and Italy,
centers.
Yeah, so and around 2,000 years ago, tea was cultivated in China. Then we started having the diseases that you were talking about because the cities do that. Of course, we carry things with us, and when we're in close quarters like that, then things
Makes you wonder if we were actually
grow.
designed to live in close corners. You know, that's
Well,
where the diseases and the,
yeah.
for example, the bubonic plague killed up to 10,000 people a day.
That's
In Europe, North Africa, and the Near East.
Right.
That was very significant. It was actually, we lost 1/3 of Europe's population during that time,
That
during
was
the
13.
1345.
Yeah, so the 12th century.
Yeah.
The bubonic plague kills the third of the entire Europe population.
Mm-hmm.
Influenza in the 1918-1990 killed about 40 million people. That was about
Spanish
5% of the human population. So here we are in the 20th century. By 1995, at least 83% of the Earth's land surface has been directly affected by humans. What they mean by that, instead of
Because we're everywhere.
Well, not only that, is that we changed from a wild area to a more domesticated areas.
We've domesticated the planet.
Yeah, we domesticated
We put our
the planet.
footprints everywhere.
Exactly.
And so we're going to talk about what are the benefits of what we've done and how we've conquered the world, so to speak, but what are some of the costs that we
Well,
see?
here's a nice graph. Okay, this is the world population growth from agriculture. So we started here very, very
10,000
low.
years ago, right? And now at that
So
upturn.
we were cultivating it in pockets all the way along this timeline and around the Industrial Revolution. And what happened in the Industrial Revolution?
We were able to transport crops and so forth.
Transport, but more importantly, we got the technology to mill these things. The rice weaver, in China was around that time.
The grain machines.
The grain machines, yeah. So we started really being able to do this on a mass spectrum. Remember, even in the Roman times, we were still making bread because the Roman armies all marched on bread. This is how you could get a large population of men, and maybe some women too, into different areas because you could carry the food with you. You can't carry animals and stuff like that. It's too much, but grain is very easy, and then it's easy to prepare at the end of
So
the trip.
that's how one of the ways they were able to build armies.
Right.
Activated barley is
And
what I
remember-
heard is actually, a sprouted grain was what was responsible for making the Roman armies so strong and resilient.
Yeah, and addictive to it. They really wanted their bread, and this is how they held them kind of hostage. Because they controlled. Remember, people, when you get a surplus of food, you have to lock it up.
Right.
That's kind of the first thing that happens. You got it in a jar and you want to protect it. But now if you have whole grain stores, you better lock those things up and then you have to guard it. So that creates a different type of system than we're always sharing things.
Right.
So
Very good
the
point.
food, we knew the food was going to deteriorate pretty quickly, especially animal food. So it had to be eaten and shared. That's the only way you could do it.
And that was the tribal. Then we started to become domesticated and producing
Yeah, so
it
everything
and having
changed.
waste.
So that's the real pivotal point to me, even though it started way back here 10,000 years ago, not until we became mechanically
1750.
inclined.
Our mechanical
Yeah.
inclination, our industrialization.
And then the early part after
Yeah.
World War I, World War II, it really started to climb because then we started really having... See, up until this time, my whole point of this is that we controlled our food. In other words, we farmed, we gathered ourselves as individuals, maybe as a village.
Right.
But now it's all controlled by other people. Well, and even
It's
the food
by
changed.
industry.
And remember, they had to change the food.
Right.
If you want to control the food, you have to change the food. So we changed what we ate because people wanted to control it.
And this was the beginning of the change to what we now know. There's so much of the food, industrial food, is frankenfood.
Yeah.
So let's highlight what are some of the benefits and some of the costs of our success.
I think we should do that.
And the benefits, by settling down and producing our own food, we created enough food to feed billions of people and respond to catastrophes.
Right.
Although we know some of the food that we ship to people is not the best food
No,
for
it's
their
the
health.
worst food, yeah,
It's the
so-
worst food. However, That is true. We have been able to build buildings that protect us from extreme weather.
Yeah, we got out of the cave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technologies that enable us to extend our lives, communicate worldwide, and venture into space were the technologies of modern society.
Yeah. So we've really had time to think, create, play, socialize, and much more, generally speaking, than perhaps the earliest people who their very livelihood
Well, I
was
think
on.
there was a transition there because I think when we were hunter and gatherers, we had much more time on our hands because there was nobody to work for except ourselves. But when we started industrializing food, then we were hired by people to do certain things, and that really changed it because if you didn't work 8 hours a day, you were lazy, or maybe you were a slave. Those lazy slaves, you know how they are.
So here's some of the costs. Think about these folks. By settling down and producing our own food, we have created piles and piles of waste that form natural breeding grounds for contagious diseases.
Yes, and of course we know the pests that come along. Rats follow us, and
they carry the
yeah,
diseases.
and probably in a natural setting, if you go out in the woods, if you camp too long, maybe you'll start getting some of those pests.
And when we got into large concentrations of people in cities and towns and so forth, we started to see these people were able to spread disease, and we saw the rise of epidemics.
Yeah, definitely. Domesticated landscapes that also displaced wild habitats. And
Like lawns.
Well, that's certainly one thing, but as soon as you put up a fence, that stops migration of people. You don't want people, people
Fencing,
trampling over,
borders,
fencing
and so
in.
forth.
When in America, they didn't have fences until the Portuguese started bringing the pigs over. And pigs running wild, running through your garden, you don't want that. So,
And that's crucial there, Nico, because that's a loss of wild species.
yeah.
And with the loss of
And
wild
I think
species,
I think there's a whole new movement coming because I know I got some notices from Nora Gagatis, and she's talking about a new book that talks about reinventing our wild areas, and that's really what I'm all about. I think that's our natural way to get back to what we were, is to start increasing our wild areas, start enjoying our wild areas, start managing our wild areas like our ancient ancestors did. They didn't interfere. They kind of manicured it a little bit. They kind of, they weeded things and they made things look nice. And especially in the national parks, we have direct evidence that the local Indians for hundreds of years did many, many of those types of things to help the wild itself. So it's a cool
well,
thing.
I think that's a great move in general. If we're going to be allowed to do that, that will be super. And here's some great moments before we go on the break. That great movements.
Well, let's wait because this is a big part of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, we'll go through great moments.
I'd like to really remind
food
people that I
technology
have the new Health Signals newsletter out, and a lot of good things in here. On the last page, I just put a little bit of celebration time to just get in touch with the winter solstice that just happened and think about what's coming for the new year.
Exactly.
So please pick up the Health Signals newsletter. Please pick up our Primal Edge. And, of course, you can call us at 877-927-6648. Through the whole 2017, folks, we're going to be here twice a week for you, trying to help you stay healthy, get healthy, or maybe just turn the corner in the way you're thinking about your food. And that's what I want to do. So we'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. So humans have been changing the world, and let's go over a couple facts, Nico. How we've changed the world of agriculture, how we've changed the world of animal domestication, how we've changed food technology, how we've changed the growing number of people, and then finally, of course, some unintended consequences.
The great moments in food technology, there's 5 listed here, and these are important. 9,500 years ago, or actually 9,500 before BCE, is the grain storehouse. That's when we started storing grain, and that's when we see people moving around the planet a little bit more and probably conquering different areas. The iron plow in 500 BC. In 63 BC was the water-powered grist mill.
Right.
And then artificial teeth in 1791. Interesting that...
yeah, but you know what? I bet
there's a correlation between the whole thing.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet you that there's not as many of our prehistoric ancestors that previous to grains didn't have tooth loss.
No.
Because I think it was the domestication of grains that created gum and tooth decay.
Yes, and I'm very aware of this because my parents, during the war, lost their teeth because of lack of nutrition. I mean, the last few months of the war, people were boiling rocks just to get minerals out of it. Didn't have any food left. All the furniture's gone because they had burned that.
Oh,
and the only way my dad got food was he was a part of the underground. He would go 20 miles every day to get food from people that knew where the food was. So the lack of nutrition is what happens to us, and this is why people lost teeth, and that's why they
So it wasn't until nearly the 1800s that they figured out how to make artificial teeth. And
yeah, and then in 1928 we had sliced bread, and I remember distinctly going to the bread store, and they would have the loaf there, and then they would put it in the machine, and the machine would slice it for you, and then they'd put it in the package for you. So that's my first memory of bread, that they were always whole loaves, and that the baker actually did the cutting.
Right.
And then 1928, I guess, when
nice
they
to
first
see that
invented.
coming back. If you are going to eat grains, hopefully they're sprouted and soaked, and you can get that service now.
Yeah, but
today.
I found a way to live without bread, and I think it's very, very,
and many
very
of
good.
us have, and
So
probably saved our teeth because of it.
Yeah, so the second thing that's happening is, of course, animal domestication. From 1961 to 2004, the population of cattle, pigs, sheep, goats increased from 2.7 to 4.1 billion.
Nearly doubled, yeah, and fowls 4 times the increase.
Yeah, from 3 to 16 billion.
So really another fact is there's an estimated 15,000 species of mammals and birds, and only about 30 to 40% of them have been used as food.
Yeah, and if you think about what is happening, if you go to your grocery store, how many types of birds do you see? You probably see chicken and turkey a lot. Then you maybe see a duck,
Cornish hen,
and some Cornish hens, some ducks, and some geese, perhaps.
That's it.
Quails, perhaps.
Right.
But not much more than that. Pheasants, maybe. So, and if you get into some of these really exotic stores, you might be able to find more. But
and along those same lines, then it's only 14 species of animals account for 90% of global livestock production today.
Some facts about agriculture: about a quarter of the Earth's surface is used to grow crops. I don't know if that's true or not. When I look at the map, it seems much more less than that, but there's certainly a large portion. Then there's different bread baskets. We have one in Canada. We have one in the United States. We have some in China. We have a few around Europe, but not a lot.
So this is interesting. Fewer than 20 plant species produce the majority of the world's food.
And in America, I think that's even less.
Yeah,
because,
so it's probably wheat and corn.
Yeah, wheat, corn. We have
Soy.
probably maybe 10 that we do, because the broccoli and all those other ones that come from kale and cabbage are basically just one plant, so now we call them
And
different.
there you go. Specifically, most of the world's population is dependent on 4 main crops: wheat, corn, rice, and potatoes.
Yeah. And of course, the thing that's happened too, because of this change in how we feed people, we're allowed to propagate a lot more. So between 1959 and 1999, which is just 4 years, the human population doubled from 3 billion to 6 billion people.
So even though today the population continues to grow by over 90 million people a year, I question, are we growing, but are we a healthier species?
Well, obviously not. At least not here in America.
Doesn't appear to be.
Not. By 2042, the population is going to reach 9 billion, about an increase of 50% in 43 years. So we're doubling about every 40 to 50 years. We're doubling our population. And what usually happens in the history of mankind when the population gets too big? We've seen lots of extinction events with the different parts of our history. So are we due for one now? We're thinking, are we really at that time when, we think about global warming, but I also think about age, think about ice ages.
Yeah, we don't call it global warming. We call it climate change, because here we believe the evidence points more towards global cooling, for those of you just tuning in. Could there be solar flares? We've talked about the electric universe. Could there be something that happens there that creates an out, puts us off of the grid, and then we have to return to something where the food, that these 4 foods that people are dependent on are not readily available to the masses? What's going to happen?
That is the question.
And I know that we we don't have as much time, and I think this is a great thing to introduce Codex Alimentarius, which is control the food, control the people. If you're not familiar with what Codex Alimentarius is, it's a pretty nefarious situation that goes on with the UN, and it is the UN's plan to eradicate organic farming and to destroy the natural health industry in a nutshell. And those of us that are in this field are always paying attention to what's really going on with our access to our food, because we know that when someone controls the food, you can control the people.
That's what Harry Kissinger said.
Right.
Henry Kissinger, excuse me.
Yeah, Henry Kissinger said that, and and I think a Rothschild said, "I care not who makes a man's country's laws, so long as I can control the money, and I'm the one that controls the money." So if we control the money and we control the food, we control the population. And I want to read to you a quote that I love to share. It was said by one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Rush, who was a physician and also a signer of the original Declaration of Independence. And I want to leave you with this thought. Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize itself into an undercover dictatorship, denying equal privilege. All such laws are un-American and despotic. And So when we think about this, as we start to look at what access to foods we're having, are these the foods that give us allow us to enjoy our inalienable right to health, freedom, and happiness, and a healthy body and mind and spirit?
Well, remember the food was changed because you can't carry the right food. You can't store the right food as well. In modern times, maybe you can a little bit more, but we know that the food they're talking about is the agricultural foods that are filling us with diseases. And this is what they're controlling us with. So as they restrict food more and more, they're going to give us more and more of this, what they call the good stuff, which is all the grains and the beans.
The good stuff, yeah, right. So we'll give you some highlights on Codex Alimentarius. I want you to get to know about it, be in touch with it, and try and see the writing on the wall. We'll be right back. Short break.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
And welcome back to the show. So let's go over this codex. It's a collection of internationally recognized standards, codes of practice, guidelines, and other recommendations relating to foods, food production, and food safety. Its name derives from the Codex
Alimentarius Ostracus.
Yeah.
And it came out of, its texts are developed and maintained by this commission. It's a body that was established in 1963 for the Food and Agricultural Commission of the United Nations and the World Health Organization. And they say that their aim is stated to protect the health of consumers and ensure fair practices in the international food trade.
Yeah.
That's what their claim is.
The problem with stored food is that is probably the most food that gets spoiled, that has problems with all these different types of diseases and things that go around from packaged food. Most of the time when you see there's a problem with food, it's some kind of packaged food. That's where the problem
Or long-term
lies.
stored food like grains and silos.
The reason I wanted to bring this whole thing up for this and going down the timeline is we have to turn this around and we have to start producing our own food. That's the most important thing to me. Producing our own food in a different way. Sure, I believe in gardening and small time farming. I think that's probably necessary. Even domestic animals, I don't mind. I don't think it's as good as wild. But we have to start somewhere, and we have to start with us producing our own food. Start your own garden. Get to know your farmers in your local area. It makes no sense to transport food all over the United States and have it stored for years in different places. Yeah, it's great for an emergency, but it's much better if you control the food in your own house, in your own property. That's the best thing, and that's, I think, what we needed.
Wouldn't that be nice if we could all understand
well, in
that?
these hard times, this is where you're going to get the food from. You're not going to get it from these people who are storing it. They're going to deviate out to people on their own timeline.
Like our
and I
friend,
don't want
or like
that.
our friend Liam Sheaf. You know, he's been writing that book, The Oil Alarm. People, one day we're not going to be able to transport the food. We're not going to send the chickens over to China to be processed to ship them back here. We need to, if we're going to raise animals that are part of our food, we need to do it and trade it within our local groups in a close area.
Yeah, I can't see
Local
food being shipped over county lines. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
No. So
And
local,
I mean,
seasonal.
is it Switzerland where almost every family has a garden?
I don't know, but in Europe there's a heck of a lot more than here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get out of the cities, I think you'll find more of that. And now there are programs like in Vancouver where they're building gardens in the cities, in high-rises, coming up with different ways to design buildings so you can grow food at the same time. There is a lot of interesting people all over the world that are diving in and saying, okay, let's take this back. And I think that's what you should be researching, is get to know some of these people, get to know where it's happening so you can join in. And I think as we go through 2017, this needs to be at the forefront of what living a primal lifestyle is about, giving you information where you can get this great food, and don't go down to your local supermarket. Start finding your health food store. Start finding your own farmers. Start talking to your neighbors.
Well, as you all know, I'm really involved with the Weston A. Price Foundation.
Yeah.
The Weston A. Price Foundation has long prepared their 2017 eating guide. If you want to get one, you can contact me or go to the Weston A. Price Foundation. They'll send you one. It's a nice book that gives you all kinds of sources, phone numbers of where you can get food that's local grown, and help you find your local producers of foods so you can create your own area to stay healthy. Because organizations such as Codex Alimentarius, whether or not you believe it, some of their intent may be nefarious and not in our best interest. What is in our best interest is to live a primal lifestyle.
Well, I know it's not in our best interest, because look at what they ship food if you're hungry. If you're starving and you're in a disaster area, they ship food that you can barely eat.
That's right.
So they're not in our interest.
But we're all about helping you figure out what will keep you healthy and
wealthy and wise.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. See you next time.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.